Hello and welcome to the Retreading Business YouTube channel. In the most recent episode of the Retreadcast, David Wilson talked to Vittorio Marangoni, the President of Marangoni. In the interview, David and Vittorio discussed Marangoni's role with sustainability in the Tyre Retreading Industry. Here now is that interview in full.
Today on the Retreadcast, we are focusing on the role of retreading in the circular economy, and we can think of few better companies to talk to about this than the Marangoni Group. And with that in mind, we're delighted to be able to speak to the group's CEO, Vittorio Marangoni. Vittorio, welcome to the Retreadcast and thank you for joining us today.
Hello, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Well, we're here to talk about the circular economy today. So let me begin by asking you, what opportunities does the increased interest in the circular economy offer the retreading industry? And what changes do you see in the global acceptance of retreading as an environmentally friendly product? And how does that differ around the world?
Okay, well, let me start. The circular economy is a paradigm that is pretty huge and of course is going to impact all the industry. But in particular in the tire industry, I think that that should, impact everyone, starting from the new tire producer. And new tire producer has to think better on the design of the product, and that will change the trend, pushing the new tire producer to make better tire with better quality, better durability, and in the end, better recyclability. That means also, first of all, retreadability, because in a circular process on the product, the first thing is try to reuse the product. So it's a natural evolution that has to be improved. And beside that, we have to notice that let me say, changing just the tread on a tire, of course, is undeniable that has a lower impact than trying to recycle the whole tire. So it would also always be the first choice. Then in the rest of the supply chain, I think there will be also a good impact on the retreaders. Basically, if I have to look in the world, I think there will be mainly two different paths. One is on the developing country where retreading is still or a small business that is growing, or a business that has still a good growth. And that will be consolidated. In a more mature country, retreading has been, toughened from prices from cheap Asian tires and all the rest in the last year. I think there will be a changement, because until now there were not great perspective in the industry. So that has stop investment, there was people were less optimistic, let me say. But of course, this changement, let me say, in global concept, that of course is changing right now, where we all need to have more concern about environment and try to develop different paradigms like circular economy to do that. In this context, of course, retreading will have a brighter future. So new hope. So people will be entrepreneur will be more optimistic, and then I think that this will push starting back to make investment. And believe me, in retreading there is still a huge gap, so there is a big potential to make the industry more competitive, more automated, with a new business model. So I think that will push to let us see a new retreading that will born.
Okay, so let's talk about Marangoni specifically. Particularly, I'd be interested to hear what Marangoni as a company is doing to help its retailer customers get the green economy message across to its fleet customers.
Okay, well, this is nothing new. We always do that. Now, let me say, is more important because it's help our customer to have good arguments and well, to improve their image. Anyway, the first approach is a direct approach. So dealing directly with our customer, we are trying to teach them what are the advantage of retrading. So well, what you can do, pushing in terms of mileage, efficiency, performance, and of course environmental aspect. So first of all is let me say this approach where we are trying to teach to our customer directly that. Then of course there is more wide approach that is based basically on communication campaign. We made in the past several communication campaign, also unbranded campaign, like there was the retread instead campaign was made in the US, and we're targeting specifically all the advantage and also the things that are not always well understood from the people about trading. Well, so that's basically the wide approach. Of course, what I think it's more important than ever is to make this to make this message coming from how we deal with business. So if we talk about circular economy, we are talking about a process where the product at the end will come back to where it started. So I cannot just think to sell a good product and forget about it. So I need to have a more a more strict approach, it need to be nearer to the end user and to take responsibility about the product. So that's something we are doing directly in the business. So we are developing, for example, tire management service. That's the message. So I believe in that. I believe it so much that I can handle my product for all the world life.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the production side of your business. What is the group doing in its factories to embrace the green economy, would you say? What investments and changes are you introducing to make your factories greener?
Okay. Well, in that way, we are taking a more smart, let me say, smart approach. Everyone when they talk about making green investment, they think to big investment. I will cover the whole building with a photovoltaic or something like that. But I don't think this is the starting point. The starting point, like in tires, is the first point is to use in the right way your resources. So because where of course we do not have perfect efficiency, of course we are disposing resources. That's the first enemy to fight. So what we are investing in efficiency of process, of system, of our spaces. So our first target is using correctly our resource. And this approach, like I said, is the same approach we are using also on our product. So what I believe is that the first thing is to be sure that the tire gets used in the right way, so have the longest life possible. and then I think to retread it. Because the first thing is to have a perfect use.
Okay, so let's talk about recycling, tyre recycling. Now, the Marangoni Group has involved itself in a limited fashion in the past with the tyre recycling sector. Are there any plans to become more involved in this sector in the future?
Well, let me say, we always have been involved on that, but there are different approach about recycling. We have an energy recovery process. So by now we take energy from the end life tire, and we directly use this energy in our production process. So that make it very effective. It's not something particularly innovative, but is very effective. Despite if you consider that at least in part tire, in a good part, tire are made from natural rubber, so at least in part they are renewable. But the point is not that. The point is that of course we are looking with interest at new technology for tire recycle. We are always thought about that, but the point is that I'm looking for a technology that allows to close the circularity of the supply chain. Because if I recycle the tire, making another product that at the end will need to be disposed, I've not solved the problem. So I just postpone the problem. So that's basically our idea.
Okay, so let's move on to products. I wanted to talk specifically about the process of developing new products. What are you doing in terms of introducing more environmentally friendly products in the future?
Well, in terms of developments, like I said, in this industry there is a lot to do. And in several fields, not just limited to product, but also there is a lot to do about technology. Anyway, of course, the first field is compounds. Everyone is working on compounds. We are working too on compounds. Basically, let me say, I want to be very synthetic because otherwise it will be a very long discussion, but basically we are looking to develop more durable and less with a lower rolling resistance trend. So we are doing that. To do that, we are also studying the impact of rolling resistance of casing. So we have an equipment, we call it the railroad, the same name in English. Anyway, it's an equipment to testing tire. We have this equipment certified by Tube, so we are using that to test new tires, but actually we are using that to test also casing. And basically we want to analyze the difference on rolling resistance of the casing with and without the tread. So basically to isolate the impact of different tread on different casing to develop better rolling resistant product. Another point, I think where there is more space of improvement is technology. On technology, we are working a lot because there is a lot to do on process, not just in automation, but of course also in the interconnection of process. So of course I'm talking about the industry 4.0. But let me say, I think there is a good margin to do something very interesting. Of course, this is the main job of our subsidiary that's called TRM, and there we are developing a new machine for the retreading process and new, let me say, integrated production system for retreading. And the last field where, of course, we are working and where I think there is big potential is on software. It's something new. No one was thinking to software, for directly like a product. They always everyone was thinking about software, services, but right now it's something very interesting, and of course is inevitable to work on data analysis, and that has a huge impact in the use of the product, and that of course is the first way to analyze and to optimize the utilization of tires. So more data we can collect, better application. So better is the choosing of the right tire for the right application. And so, like a consequence, their durability. But of course, this is something that has potential also in the whole processing activity of retreading. So also in the factory, we will have a huge impact. Just for making an example, on the analysis of casing, you can have a lot of advantage using that. So let me say, basically, these are the three main topics.
That's very interesting. So, in addition to this, what other activities is the group currently involved in, or are there any other areas you plan to become involved in order to increase the group's contribution to the circular economy?
Okay. Well, just to think about the concept, of course, will be I will not decline all the development I talk about, but I want to make understand what's the main target or concept behind that. So basically, the point is that circular economy need more services. Need the more to be nearest to the end user. So what we have to do, what we are doing, is to develop more product and services that are dedicated to the end user. So that are designed to help to be more involved with the end user. So that's basically the idea. Then it is not an issue which player in the supply chain has to do that, but the point is that has need to be done. So that's the idea. So starting from the design of the product, like I said, it's a product that has to have a better durability, to have to be studied better for the application that for which is dedicated, and from of course the whole services that are behind, data, software, information that help the retreader or the service provider to give some advantage to the end user, to help the end user to use better the product. So basically, this is the point. Then, of course, there are also, let me say, we are moving also in collateral ways that are not dedicated vertically in our industry, but in a horizontal way. We are experimenting a lot sharing economy. So, like I said, we are pushing in the efficient use of our resources. That means also, of course, where you cannot use your resources because you don't need it, or you don't need it in that specific moment, try to make a better separation of that. So we are doing that experimenting sharing economy. We are sharing, several services in our company. Basically, one service that is very interesting is research and development, for example. So when our R&D services are not working for us, we are using them in different fields, of course, always in the rubber industry, but different field does not need to be connected to tire, but competence are very similar. So, and that is an enrichment for us, and of course is a big advantage for who need that and don't want to make big investment to develop or all the lab or finding the people that have the right competence.
Okay, so let's move on to a subject that I've talked about with just about everybody I've interviewed this year, and that is, of course, the issue of the COVID-19 pandemic. It's made us reassess a lot of the things that we do in business. Will this change in procedures accelerate the speed at which we take on board activities that make us become greener, do you think? And if so, in what ways? Okay,
well, of course, has changed all of our, lifestyle, I think. So we'll not talk about how our life is changing because everyone knows. But what is happened in our industry is very interesting because, of course, now we are using more information technology, and basically we are moving less. But there was a trend, and this trend was started before COVID-19, but COVID-19 has pushed this trend forward, in which people were moving less and goods were moving more. So now it's extremized because everyone is at home, so only goods have to move, and that of course is changing completely how we concept the mobility. So before people were taking their car and go to the mall, buy things. Now they all stay home, and there is a very huge logistic behind the e-commerce that has to deliver the goods at home. So this is pushing a lot all the logistic, and with that also the truck logistic where we are involved. And of course, that is making even more important to work on sustainable mobility. So I think retreading is more important than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. So finally, we're obviously delighted that Marangoni has agreed to become the trophy sponsor for the inaugural Recircle Awards. What has been your impression of the award so far, and what is your advice and suggestions to us to move the awards forward in the future, become larger, bigger, and better?
Okay, well, I want to thank you very much because I think it's a very interesting initiative. I think that well, in this industry, we really need someone that loves it.
Absolutely.
We were starting, feeling some time alone. we need someone that loves us. No, I think that retreading need to be rediscovered because everyone, love things that are new, startup, innovative business, and so on. But retreading, because it is a business that has always been done, is something old, has no fashion, no one care about. But this is not true because times are changing, and of course, yes, retreading is an old business, but need to be rediscovered. And their core value are it came from afar, but have never been so actual like now. So I really want to thank you because I think it's an interesting initiative, and it helped us to remember that. What I would like, to maybe suggest for the next time is, like I said, circular economy is something different. Like I said, retrading will reborn, so future retrading will be different from what we know from the past. And looking to circular economy business, we need to think to a more circular supply chain. So that means that we need also to make part to participate all the players in this supply chain, and especially the player that are nearest to the end user, like for example, a service provider. That's because, of course, in this process, service is strategic, and so it's a new player, but it's a player that is gaining part of this supply chain. So we need also to take a look to services.
Well, thank you very much for that. I agree with you there. I mean, obviously, looking at the whole of the supply chain is something that we'd want to do a little more in the future events, and we certainly would like to cover the whole of the circular economy as it relates to the tyre sector. So, Vittorio, your views on the circular economy and on the market are always fascinating to listen to. So thank you very much for your time today, and we look forward to seeing you on the Retreadcast again very soon.
Thank you very much to you. It's been a pleasure, and look forward to I hope to see you again and not just hear you,
Absolutely, yeah, I look forward to that.